makes it seem more likely, I think, that we're going to see something like that in Game 2. But Game 2 is starting right now. Liquid Ret versus FXO Lucky moving in on Metalopolis. Let's get in the game.
And here we have it. So things are going to get started soon. The suspense screen is up. And Lucky, the last one to load in. But here we have it. Down here at the 9 o'clock position on Metalopolis, we have our red Zerg player from FXO. That is Lucky.
And over at the right side of the map, at the 2 o'clock position from TeamLiquid.net, give it up for Liquid Ret if you want him to come back in the series.
And they actually did switch colors on me, so if we could do a camera view real quick for 2 seconds, I have to switch colors on the players.
Yep.
And bam,
nice,
bam, there we go.
Nice tab there. All right, so we're all good. Don't you love it when the players switch colors like that? That's always a lot of fun.
I do. It's so
Thanks,
much fun.
guys.
But there we have it. On top of things here, neither player going for, well, actually, let's see here, a super early pool at the moment. We'll see
no
if,
6 or 7.
Yeah, see if Lucky wants to go after that same sort of strategy he did last time. Does the extractor trick, though, to give himself 11 supply and saving up a little bit of resources.
Yeah, I mean, the Korean Zerg players all do the extractor trick. Every single one of them does the extractor trick. And in the West, in the Western esports scene, the extractor trick is kind of seen as sort of a little bit inferior. There's still a lot of debate that always goes on, but I think people have kind of shown that you do lose, you know, like a little bit of minerals, but you do get that extra drone out a little bit early as well in case your opponent's 6 pools. So I've talked to some Korean Zergs, I'm like, why do you do the extractor trick even though you miss out on a little bit of minerals? And they're like, well, you never know when you're going to have to try to defend off that really early pool, so it's nice to have the extra drone.
And Red is going to have a nice speedling build up as he just started his pool, but his gas is already finished and going after that, whereas Lucky going after the early expand.
Yeah, okay. So a little bit opposite this time around.
Yeah, certainly, but you know, this was a normal timed pool for Red, so he's not going to have a ton of links there at the very beginning of the game. It's going to give Lucky the opportunity to defend behind a couple of the queens, stuff like that. However, Ret certainly has the flexibility of being able to move into just mass early game speedlings if he decides the time is right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have got pools being built. Of course, Lucky is much later than Ret's because of that hatch first. But, you know, even with what Ret has, oh, look at that, just exactly 100 gas. And there is his Zergling speed. So he will put a little bit of pressure on his opponent, but Lucky should be ready for that. Usually with this sort of timing, the hatch first Zerg doesn't have too much of a problem holding that off unless he miscontrols really badly, you know.
6lings are coming up now, though, for Ret. He's going to send those, they were actually rallied across to his opponent's base, already being sent out. And actually following this up with a few more lings. So, wow, 8 altogether so far.
Yeah, now, here's the thing I'm kind of curious to see. That FXO Lucky hasn't really made any lings quite yet. Okay, there's 6 on the way now. I was going to say, if he decides to go for like a really early Roach Warren, like we see Zergs like Nesty do every once in a while, he could take some damage from these lings, but no, he's playing it safe, making 10 lings so far right now, and those should pop out just about in time.
Yep, the first couple are making their way out. Oh, but Lucky has one of his trapped. Another one goes down in a second, so Red actually has a small ling advantage at the moment. A drone coming by as well.
Red's still sending a few more lings across there. Lucky plants down a spine crawler, and right now, looks like Red is going to be just barely pushed back, but the ling counts are very even right now. 6 to 7 Zerglings. So Ret just kind of playing it safe right now for the moment.
Yep, and he decided to expand actually after those first 8 lings came out. He immediately threw down his expand. Also has a Baneling Nest coming up, trying to test the waters of the lings one more time, but a Queen is there to stop them from coming in.
Yeah, it's much more common to see that Baneling Nest after the hatch first. It does, you know, keep you a little bit safer here, but Ret, you know, like you mentioned, getting his own Baneling Nest as well, and he has Zergling speed, so that's going to give him that little advantage for a little while in terms of sending like 1 or 2 Zerglings to try to snipe Banelings. If it comes to that, Ret will be a little bit ahead in that type of engagement.
And let's actually take a look here as, you know, both those Baneling Nests about ready to finish fairly close to each other. The Zergling speed, we're saying, is a little bit later for Lucky, but let's actually take a look at that drone count. Wow,
yeah,
Ret.
I was just about to mention,
Yeah, just going ahead and pulling ahead in that regard quite a bit.
Yeah, 26 drones for Ret as opposed to 19 for FXO Lucky. So despite going hatch first, down on the economy here, you know, Ret does have his hatchery up, obviously is mining from it. And this is, what Ro8 is really good at. I mean, this is kind of what I was more expecting him to do last game. Go
Sure.
for a safer opening. Then once you know you're safe, put a little bit of pressure on your opponent, power drones. I think this is really, where his comfort zone is as a player more than what we saw last game.
Lucky making his way out with a lot of lings and a couple of banelings. Ro8 picks up on that, immediately turns away. He's got a few banelings of his own, so it may come down to control here. Both players have evolution chambers up, and a Roach one was just started.
And he sees the Spine Crawler, pulls back, sees the banelings as well. He's got a couple of his own. And those queens might be in a little bit of trouble. Let's look at the link counts again. 17-2, actually. FXO Lucky way ahead in links, but Ro8 is producing some as well as a Roach Warren.
Ro8 has a
nice.
couple additional banelings. One goes down, though.
Very nicely done here. And he's sneaking some banelings around the back.
Oh,
Ro8
no,
doesn't see it.
Still could get a good presence of lings. Oh,
Great reactions by Ro8 to save those drones just in time.
Yeah, it really was.
Man, that was close. That could have been a disaster for Liquid Ro8. That would have evened things right up between him and Inori. Inori right now trying to power some drones.
Yeah, certainly. And let's see here. Lucky is actually taking a little bit of damage. But he sinks in with 2 banelings and does take out a huge amount of drones. Taking a look at workers killed, 8 altogether. Units tab shows that Ro8 now has a 7-worker disadvantage. Sneaking those around the back. Very good job.
Trying to be careful, doesn't want to lose those banelings. This is a part of the match where you're always like, you just cringe when you see those Zerglings run right next to them. Some days Zerg players are really going to start manually detonating their banelings at all the right times. You're not even going to be able to get close with anything.
And we do have a bunch more banelings coming up now for Lucky on his side of things. Don't think he's sending anything back to swing around or counterattack. Ro8 actually retreating back to home for the time being. Oh, and he's putting up a 3rd down at the bottom right.
Ah, okay. Yep, so this is what Ro8 likes to do. Like I said, I think he's in his comfort zone now. He realizes he can sit back, be defensive, and expand rather than feels the need to go in and kill his opponent right away. He knows he's a little bit ahead despite the damage that he took from those banelings, and I think Lucky is probably going to want to expand himself fairly soon.
He is,
He's starting to look a bit oversaturated. Oh yeah, there's the hatchery right now going up.
And so let's actually take a look here. 44 to 42 drones. However, a pretty big task force coming down from Lucky, sending some banelings and lings down at the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, will Ro8 have enough to defend against this? His Roaches are not going to get there in time. I think Ro8 may actually have to cancel this. The Roaches are scrambling to get there in time. Lucky has a good amount of banelings there as well. And here come the lings and the Roaches. Ro8. Oh no! He does have to cancel it.
Yeah, very much so. And these lings are actually able to still do some damage. They take out the drone that was trying to retreat. Don't see any sort of a counterattack by Ro8 quite yet, but he just took a lot of damage.
Yeah, Ro8, he could have held that if he wouldn't have lost all those lings to the banelings. I was looking at that, I was like, oh, Ro8's looking okay here, but then that's what happens in ZVZ. One tiny misstep, and you have to do something like cancel your hatchery. Nice little snipe there on the baneling.
Certainly. And we have that hatchery being restarted.
Yeah, Lucky's going to get this one up with really no trouble at all.
We have a few lings trying to make their way into Ro8's base, but they decide that baneling wall is a little too much to overcome.
Now, let's take a second to look at the upgrades for these two players. Ro8's already working on +2 missile attacks. Lucky, on the other hand, has put down 2 Evo chambers, and he's working on 1-1.
Yeah.
So that's going to, of course, make Ro8's Roaches a little bit stronger initially, but, with the double upgrades going for Lucky, they're going to end up being a little bit more durable if we reach kind of a long-term situation. We'll see if we get there.
Yeah, certainly. And Roaches are ready to intercept the units from Ro8.
Yep.
So he's forced away with those lings. Not really going to be able to do much damage, but he picks up on the hatchery being completed.
Well, if you look at these guys' Overlord spread right now, they really, really have a good eye on basically all the running paths on the map. And that's really what happens in ZVZ is it's very, very difficult to surprise your opponent with anything because of the Overlord spread.
And Ro8 does trap a couple of lings there, only manages to get 1 kill. Lucky has pretty good control and runs away. Taking a look, though, actually a Hydralisk Den coming up right now for Lucky.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is something that we don't really see quite as often anymore in ZVZ. This was really popular early on in StarCraft 2 to just go these big, beefy Roach Hydra armies. And, it kind of fell out of style to a certain extent. But, we do see it pop up every once in a while. Lucky feeling that he can do that. Those double upgrades will certainly help. Ro8 coming in to try to do some damage here, but again, Lucky is just so defensive right now. It's going to be very tough, really, for either player to do damage at those thirds.
Yeah, it looks like Ro8 has a 10-worker deficit, though, but because he's just a shade up in supply, all of that is reflected in army at the moment. He does have a Zergling, Baneling, and Roach advantage at the moment, but like you mentioned, with those double Evo chamber upgrades with the superior tech for Lucky, he is still in a very, very good spot.
Yeah, looks like on the right side of the map we've got an Overseer for Lucky doing some scouting, and he is going to see a lot here. He's going to see the army. He's going to probably get into the main too even and see what's there.
Looks like Ret had one rogue Roach running across the map. That's going to be chased down by a lot of
get
units.
The memo, I guess.
But Ret is swinging out with a large amount of units.
Oh. Well, that was sad.
All right, so here comes Ret now. He's got how many roaches?
A lot.
42. Basically the answer to life right there.
Yeah, just make some more roaches. That is it. But there are some hydras. If you can keep the hydras safe, they can do a ton of DPS to these roaches. Here we go. Lucky does have a bit of a supply advantage, but can he turn that into a win? Ret making a run for it. Oh no. He sees the hydras, realizes that his DPS is just not going to be there. And you know what? Lucky's 2-2 is almost done as well.
Wow. Yeah, Lucky was actually wanting to sit back and wait for those upgrades to finish, but he is
the
fine with the better.
Lucky.
You are correct, as Red is going to be able to neutralize a lot of units. Those upgrades are just kicking in for Lucky. However, does Red have enough to push this off? Reinforcements are coming back for Lucky.
Yeah, Lucky coming in. Those hydras in the back doing so much DPS, and yeah, the hydralisks make the difference, and Ret needs to run back. Now Lucky has a 30 supply advantage. Lucky also getting an infestation pit as well as adding on some more roaches. Ret getting his own infestation pit and Hydra Den, but is it going to be soon enough? I think it may be a little bit too late, actually, for Liquid Ret. We'll have to see how this attack turns out.
Because here comes Lucky. He's going to make his way down before +1 weapons, I'm sorry, +1 armor hits. There's a couple of roaches that are trapped in the middle, but that's not really going to matter because here comes the big engagement.
Yep, and Lucky needs to be so careful about this. This is why it's so hard to counterattack in ZVZ, because your opponent has time to make those reinforcements they need. And yeah, it looks like Lucky is just going to turn right around. Oh, and taking the gold base as well.
Right underneath the auspices of the Overlord hanging above. Here we have the engagement, and does Ret want to commit here? We'll find out. His +1 armor did not quite finish. At the same time, there's a big run by.
Yep, Lucky moving into the main as well with some roaches. In the meantime, back at that attack. Looks like Lucky is going to have enough to hold this off. Ret getting pushed back there. Ret losing the fight at his main as well. Ret falling farther and farther behind. I think we are going to see another win for FXO Lucky here.
We'll find out. These Hydras have to take down a few roaches that are sitting over at the third as well. Yeah,
but here comes a big roach reinforcement there.
Really is, and now going to 4 base economy at the same time. Lucky is up by 42 supply, and actually increasing at the moment. He's way up in workers as well. Red is pulling workers off the line.
Yeah, he is. This is not looking good for Red at all. I mean, either way, there's nothing you can do about this gold base. Red does have his own Hydras out now, but he's just not able to produce enough.
Yeah, and it looks like this third base is going to go down, and Ret is in a lot of trouble.
Yep, I think Inori might get his wish here. GG, and FXO Lucky taking down Liquid Ret.
And he has just secured himself a spot in the best of 5 semifinals and guaranteed $7,000 in prize money.
Not bad at all for him and his teammate right there. And I mean, Ret, you know, he tried so hard, he got so far, but in the end, it didn't really matter.
Didn't even matter.
I had to fit that in at least one time this week.
We had to have a Linkin Park reference.
So,
I'm a little dead inside.
These two FXO players from Korea are really, really doing well. I mean, talk about impressive.
Yeah, already one top 4 right now. Another has a chance later on if he can take out Stefano. So let's give it up for Team FXO, guys. They have had a very, very good showing here.
Wow. And if you will, please a hand for Liquid Ret for getting this far in the tournament. He played a lot of great games this week as well. Absolutely, yeah. Well, so
there we have it, man.
Mirror match morning, I think, is finally concluded here. And we saw some interesting stuff, you know, especially that PvP with Inori versus Huck. A lot of interesting stuff in that match as well. And yeah, we're going to have a lot more stuff coming up.
That's one of the quarterfinals right there. But we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors as well. If you're watching on stream, they're right there. Astro Razor, Riot, Mountain Dew, IGN Prime, AMD, Team Liquid, do I have them all? Visine, Caesars Atlantic City. Yeah, Visine. So
that's right. My eyes are feeling great today. How about yours? You're wearing glasses.
Feeling amazing.
How are your glasses? All right, so we are going to cut right to a commercial, guys. Don't go anywhere. More great StarCraft 2 action coming up soon here at the IPL 3.